Christmas and New Year. And at the end of the retreat, our video department got finished a film about John David's life. Some of you were there and we watched it together. And maybe you remember that kind of spontaneously out of the blue came the idea for a new project for our publishing company. And this was to collect stories from people who were, you could say, in love with Papaji or his disciples. And so in the last 2 weeks, I've been actively working on this project. And I've already collected many stories from people who came to him. We've published other books from some of his closest disciples. And so I could go through those interviews and take out the stories which particularly are about Papaji. And also at the same time, I've started preparing a second volume of meetings with remarkable people. Many of you, I think, have a copy of this book, or you've seen some of the films. And I started to prepare the beginning of a second volume because we have already about half a dozen interviews. And one of those was from somebody called Mari. And I interviewed him last year in our Indian retreat. He's a very wonderful man who has never taught, and so nobody knows his name particularly. He worked for many years running in Vancouver in Canada. He ran a homeopathic college. So he's a doctor for homeopathic medicine, but also he's been amazingly active all his life as a seeker. And he spent personal time with Maharaj, Nizatadatta Maharaj in Bombay. He spent some wonderful time with Papaji. And later he introduced Andrew Cohen to Papaji, who became then a very well-known teacher. And so today I wanted to read something that he shared with me when he first met Papaji. This would have been in the 80s, 1980s, about 30 years ago. So he came to Papaji, and this is what happens. He calls Papaji the master. I asked the master how much effort you have to make if you want to be free. Papaji whispered and he said, you don't have to make any effort to be free. You don't have to make any effort to be free. What does that mean? I was into yoga and meditation and lots of effort. And I was going to do this. This was going to happen. Then he says, you don't have to make any effort to be free. I couldn't understand it intellectually. And the minute he said these words, I had a vision. The vision was water flowing down the side of a mountain. And I realized in that instant that my own true nature was like that water, ever freely flowing, ever unobstructed. I realized in that moment that unenlightenment was only a thought. I had always been free. That was my true nature. So this is a kind of amazing quotation because most people who get involved in the spiritual life want to become enlightened, or they want to become free of their troubles, their sufferings. They want to live in peace. They want to live experiencing love. They want to be free. And by free, in my idea of free, is that in any moment you can respond in a totally authentically in any moment, because you're not full of some kind of ideas about how it should be. You're not following any particular inner structures. You're not following any morality. You're not following any rules of the society. But like a little child, little children are very good teachers for this possibility of freedom, because of course most little children are, how can I say, they're like an empty paper, you know, they're like an unwritten paper, they're unpainted paper, they're simply pure, very innocent. And we have in our community this weekend 3 little children, and it's very inspiring to relate with them, because you can feel this freedom, this quality of freedom. And this is a wonderful quality to aspire to in our lives. And maybe one might even argue that this is some kind of point of our life. We can find it as a longing to become really free. And what Papaji is saying is rather shocking, because in my own case, for example, I spent at least 12 years in mostly in an ashram in India, but also in other places, regularly meditating. I was very busy to meditate. And many other spiritual people, of course, are meditating. And of course, meditation is a wonderful practice to become a quiet mind. We were just talking to Dorothy and Ernst, and they seem to have achieved a very quiet mind, both of them. They've met unexpectedly in their life, and out of their own inner quiet, they can meet together deeply. And the result is that they feel tremendous love and actually silence, it seems. So they're extremely lucky in their older age to discover that. So when Murray came to Papaji, he was, as he said, he was seriously studying yoga and practicing meditation. And then he suddenly came and asked, and the master said, you don't have to do anything to be free. So maybe we could talk about that today. It seems to me that there might be a value in looking deeper into what he meant by that. Because what he's saying is that every human being, when they're born, is born free. And so essentially we are all free. But as we grow older, of course, many people, or even I can say most people, aren't really feeling themselves as free. So would somebody like to discuss this or share something about this? Maybe somebody who hasn't spoken yet? Carmen, would you like to say something? I don't know whether we have met.
Carmen is from Spain, but she could write in the chat if she likes.
So Carmen, maybe you would like to share something through the chat. That would be very nice. Welcome. So I would ask, for example, did anybody find this statement from Papaji to be surprising? Victoria?
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, sorry.
Yeah, I think it makes a great shift. It made a great shift in my mind to know or to hear from you in those days that I am free. I really am free. It's a little shock. It made a little shock in my in my brain, you know? Yeah.
Right.
And then I repeat this sentence sometimes in my brain, especially when I feel a little bit sad or disturbed from all that Corona stuff, that I am free, and it makes it gives me a new situation, and I can connect. I can better connect to my silence inside, you know? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And this silence is growing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think by realizing that you're actually always free, it challenges the idea that we're not free, because I was talking earlier about people having a lot of self-judgment.
Yeah.
So as we grow older, we tend to acquire all kind of judgments about ourselves. Yeah? And one of those probably would be that, I'm not free. I have to do something to become free. And Papaji, I remember, once said, if you say you're free, you're free.
Yeah.
And when he told that, it was a kind of shock for me, because my background was, as I said, about 12 years of meditation to become free, And he said, well, if you say you're free, So this was kind of rather challenging at the time.
Like a miracle.
Because I was kind of very much attached to the idea of my meditation will bring me to freedom, And I had to realize that my meditation is very useful, but it doesn't bring me to freedom. I'm already free. And the meditation helps me with the things that give an appearance of not free, which means in our mind, for example, we have a kind of daily drama going on in our minds. We call this my life. And usually we're very attached to my life, which we could also call the clouds that cover the blue sky, which cover the essence, cover the freedom. And so by getting in touch deeply with this idea that we're all free, then we can see the possibility that as the clouds melt away, then in fact freedom is, how can I say, we can accept the truth of this freedom, something like we can accept the truth of the freedom because it's ever present, actually.
That's wonderful.
Yes, and it takes somebody like Papaji to make such a statement.
Yes, when you read that sentence some minutes ago, it hit me in my heart area. It really hit me. It's very special. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
I mean, another possibility is that if our life is quite busy and you could say a bit complicated, and we get caught up in some sort of dramas. I was talking to some people earlier, they seem to perhaps have some drama. Somebody had anger, somebody else suggesting some drama maybe. So you know, that's happening to everybody. We're all getting moments when things happen on the outside, which create inside an attachment to something. And then we don't really feel free. We feel pain, we feel suffering. We wouldn't be saying, I'm free in those moments. So if we have a clear understanding that our essence is freedom, then all these other things that are apparently so important in our life basically become much less important. And you could even believe that you're free, because most people believe they're not free. So instead of believing you're not free, you can believe you are free. Why not? Believe you're free.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a belief, then why not make it a nice belief, not an unnice belief? Instead of saying, well, I believe I'm not free and I have to do a lot of meditation and spiritual practices, and then one day in the future I'll become free. That's my belief, which is actually that was the belief that kept me going for many years. And instead of that, realize you are free. Believe that you are free, even if it doesn't always feel like you're free. So this is a very interesting strategy, I think. Okay.
There's a comment by Carmen. She's saying, Papaji's phrase seems normal to me or understandable. It is what it is. When I am what I am, then I am.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Carmen.
Okay. Hi again, John.
Yes, good.
I don't know if I have a question, but I try to say the what's happening now, because I feel right this Papaji's sentence, but also maybe there is the question about the effort, the meaning of the effort. I try to explain. Okay, we are already free. I like to say there is already the freedom, but it's like the freedom is covered with conditions, thoughts, and beliefs, maybe more beliefs. And the effort probably is the work we have to do to let go all the beliefs and the beliefs that we are attached, and we give so much attention and energy to our story and drama and blah blah blah. So maybe the question is probably, is it the effort is the work we have to do to let go our beliefs, and it's like to take off the blanket that covers the freedom that is already there, is already here. One time maybe if I understood one Ramana Maharshi's sentence, and he said, and please correct me if I am wrong, he said we have to put our effort before or now. If you are free now, it's because you put your effort before, and before is possible, maybe another life, I don't know. So I ask you, maybe the effort is this, is the job to let go the beliefs
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ramana Maharshi said exactly what you're saying. It doesn't feel exactly what he would have said, but he maybe said something like that. But I think what he was essentially telling us was to look at the I, you know, his famous question, who am I? To understand that this I, which we're so attached to, you know, the one who believes, I believe, I know, you know, all this drama in our life, which we call my life, is all depending on this belief that I am somebody, and I'm doing my life. And he was constantly pointing that you have to investigate if that's really true. And if you investigate, you will discover it's not true. And this is not such an easy discovery. I mean, for most people, this can take a long time because we're so much attached to the story of our life. We're so attached to our beliefs, as you said. So he's saying that you need to go back and investigate what is before the thoughts. And if you can find what is before the thoughts, then you will come to discover that you're actually free. It follows, because the thing that prevents us really knowing our own freedom from moment to moment in our life is that we're so focused on what we call I, you know, me, my life, and all the drama that goes with my life. And we've been led to believe from the society, from our friends, from our family, that we've been led to believe that that's what it is. That's the thing, you know, that drama is actually the important thing. And when you get in touch with what Ramanan was saying, you suddenly realize that all of that you thought was so important and you thought that was who you were is all false, actually. And that what's important is something else. And as soon as you redirect your inquiry towards what is before the thoughts, when you really investigate this I, this me, then you realize what Papaji is saying is absolutely true. That the freedom has always been there. Actually, it's like the base of everything. You could say, well, the ground of everything is this freedom. But for most of us, we're always looking in a completely different direction. And Ramana Maharshi's basic teaching was to stop looking in that direction and come back to what was before the thoughts.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the daily life, I think what we can do in our daily life to come to what he's saying is to, in any moment, be aware, to bring our awareness, and you see inside you, your awareness is telling, oh, I'm very much believing this, or I'm believing that. And then if your awareness is there, you can see that this belief doesn't really have any substance. It's an idea, but it's basically just a thought, doesn't have any true value. And by bringing our awareness to those particular structures which keep returning inside, because for most of us, we have certain structures that keep coming every day, relentlessly over many years. And if we bring our attention, our awareness to those structures, then at some point they disappear. They simply disappear because they're seen to be not true. I mean, I don't know lots of the people today, but in my case, and I've discovered this is a very common amongst many, many people, we have this idea, I am not good enough. And in my case, I remember for many, many years, probably half my life, every day this would be a recurring idea coming into my mind that I'm not good enough. And that led to all kind of behavior, you can say. My daily drama was strongly influenced from this thought that I'm not good enough. And now I've been living for 20 odd years without ever having this idea I'm not good enough. And this is like an amazing release. You know, I can't explain it really, but suddenly I'm just, well, I haven't become good enough, actually. I haven't become good enough, but I'm no longer not good enough. I'm just whatever I am, you know. I'm just doing John David, you know, and even I'm not doing John David actually, because somehow John David is being done, you could say. So this is a very lovely feeling because gradually there's a distance, you know, there's a kind of, you could use the word surrender happens, a kind of surrender, and you realize that some higher power, divine intelligence, is actually running my life or doing my life. And I'm a kind of vehicle for this energy to come through and to express something. And there's no question of good enough or not good enough. And I mean, this is now become kind of common in my life, but I can also remember the other half of my life when it wasn't common. And this constant feeling of not being good enough was there.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So last thing, what do you think? Is it right to say that self-enquiring could be the effort to let go all beliefs?
I think it's one of the last things that we can do, this idea of self-inquiry, to investigate the I. It's probably one of the last things that we can actually do that. But the moment when we discover what is before the thoughts, this is something that seems to happen completely spontaneously. So it may be that the effort of self-inquiry brings us closer to the possibility, but the actual possibility happens, as far as I can see, completely in a completely spontaneous way and unexpected way. So amongst some of the closer people who I live with or who visit me, they've had these moments. You know, they've had a moment like very spontaneous moment where they glimpse their truth or the truth, and probably because they've chosen to live in a community, to meditate regularly, to make the inquiry about the I. They've chosen that to be a main priority in their life. That brings them in a way to be more available to some kind of spontaneous happening, which takes them into their essence. So we have quite a lot of people who've tasted this essence. But very often, unfortunately, after some period of time, for reasons that are always unclear, but probably to do with the density of the clouds of the stuff, people then lose contact to their essence again. We have some people who 5 or 6 times have had very strong glimpses. They've come into this complete emptiness. They've got in contact with their freedom, but then slightly unclear what happens, but probably the power of the old structures is too much, and after some days, sometimes it can be a few weeks, the person is taken out of that emptiness, out of the essence.
Okay.
Okay. Is that Susan?
Thank you.
Can you open her microphone?
Oh, Susan, we can't understand you well. Do you have, can you come closer? Do you have like a microphone, like a headset or something?
Okay, I think she doesn't have the.
Susan, we can't really hear you. It seems like your microphone sounds a
What's
little
now?
bit. Yeah, better.
I changed the mic. I have a lot of more mics, obviously. You understand me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Are you English?
Hi. No, I'm German from Berlin.
Berlin. Okay. Did we meet before?
No, never.
Okay.
But just what I just saw your movie 1 week ago
Okay.
about your biography, and it was very it touched my heart. And what really was funny, that one of your community members, when I watched him, I said, "Oh, I know him." And I asked myself, who was that? I remember. I'm not sure. Who is he? Who is he? You know someone, you know someone, but you don't know exactly.
Right.
And then
right.
then I remembered, yes, it was my my percussion
my husband.
teacher.
Oh, my husband. Oh, now I remember him. He was teaching you drumming?
Yes.
Yeah. We call him Kiran. Kiran now.
And it was Christian, right? And he's right.
Yeah, he
he's
was.
German.
Yes, he was
Yes.
Christian before. He had a drumming school in Berlin. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And
right.
I was short time part of his group, Bloco Calangos, and so now then I liked him very much, and it was very nice to see him in the movie again. So
okay, yeah. If you go on my website under Mantra, you can find he's one of our main musicians. He's kind of the leader of our band. And you can see him playing different instruments in our band. We have lots of mantra music here.
Yes, yes. I watched him in the beginning of this Zoom calling.
Oh yeah, yes. He would have been there.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I don't know if he remember me. I was not quite long, but I remember him very well as a good teacher, really good teacher.
Right.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say, I'm not very familiar with the Indian masters, but what I love is the stillness, is the peace they are sharing. And we are talking about freedom and thoughts and belief systems and all that stuff. And I'm working many years on that stuff. Especially the last year was quite hard. And there was a very interesting experience in when I wake up in the morning. For 2 or 3 minutes, I don't know who I am.
Right.
I don't know where I am.
Right.
I don't know. I recognize nothing.
Right.
It feels very safe. Everything is good.
Right. Yeah.
And then the first thought is coming, of course.
Right.
Ah.
Where's my coffee? Or I must go to the toilet. Or
no, what day we have? The first question is what's day we have? What day we have today? So, and then thinking is starting. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And thinking, I realized is connected to my story, to my life story, and all the dramas and all what I'm thinking, all what I'm believing, all what I'm feeling, and my whole life was connected to sadness, and sadness was really through my life without knowing why I took that sadness in me. I had no idea about that, and it was hard. When I look back to my life, it was full of sadness without knowing why. And I know that I'm free. I know.
Well, it sounds as if you're experiencing that every morning, yeah? Because
yes.
Because of course during the night, we're sleeping, yeah? And during the deep sleep, which in your case may continue until you open your eyes in the morning, when we're in deep sleep, then we're in a certain space, we're in a certain place, yeah? And then in the morning you open your eyes and there's going to be a short time, as you say, before the mind starts. There's going to be a little gap between sleep and awake where you can still be in your essence, where there's no thoughts, yeah? So actually when you have this in your life, then it means that somehow you've done what was necessary to allow that possibility, that your mind is not so ferocious, it seems. And in the morning, you have this delightful moment. Maybe it's not very long, but nevertheless, if it can be there for a short time, it could potentially be there for a much longer time.
But there's a question, my dear. That space, I don't know what to do.
But maybe you don't have to do anything. I mean, you told me that you started by saying that you'd seen my film, of my life.
Yes.
And I had a bit of a funny moment because the other night, well, it was a few weeks ago now, when we watched the final film of my life, where the video department put lots of photographs into the film, about my life. So in a way, I saw my life in a kind of slightly new way, I could say. I wasn't so connected to my life. I was watching like somebody's life, not really my life. I wasn't so attached to it. The thing that really struck me was that, in fact, through my life, things happened which couldn't have been John David's idea. Maybe you remember the story about the plane that didn't come, and then I ended up on an Air India plane and got down in India, and that was how I found my first spiritual master. So when I watched that film, I saw that through my life I'd always been kind of cared. I was always looked after by some kind of higher power, divine intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it. And sort of my contribution was choosing the color of my shirt that I'm going to wear today. I think I'll wear the blue one. But the I mean, in my case, I've lived in many different countries, so I didn't have a kind of normal life, you could say. And by going to different countries, I could see more clearly how existence kind of came in and said, well, you've lived in Australia for 5 years. Now it's time to go back to Europe. It wasn't like John David decided that. There was a kind of voice that came in one day. Actually, I was packing my car to go on holiday, And the voice told me, that's it, time to leave Australia, go back to Europe. Yeah. I hadn't been in Europe for 17 years at that time. So what the hell was that voice? What was that voice? So we're making a public version of that film so we can put it maybe on Amazon and so on. And we're calling this Adventures in Consciousness. I can't remember, actually, Guided by the Divine Navigator or something like that. Yeah, because in my life, I feel that there was always a kind of guidance, and it's not just being guided, but it's also being supported. I lived one time 7 years in India. So I had no money to live 7 years in India. In the beginning, I must have had some money, but after some time, there would have been no money. So how did I live so long in India? And the way I look back at that is that somehow things happened, or ideas came, and I could support myself somehow, and so I saw that everything was taken care of in my life. Now I'm rather old, I'm 76, so I can look back on, lots of stuff, and I see that all the time there was a kind of caring. And so that means that you can relax in your life. And you say, what will I do if I don't think? Well, you'll have a great time. You'll have a wonderful time if you stop thinking. And you'll have an even better time if you stop getting in touch with your sadness.
Yes, that was my experience, that was very important, to get in touch with all my emotions and not to hide them or to run away of them. It is not easy. Nobody can tell me it's an easy job. It's really tough to confront with the fear and the pain, and we all carry in us. And I think there's no one who has.
But I get the feeling you've done this job,
Yeah.
Come and visit us. Come and visit us. I'd like to get my hands on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're quite far near Köln, right?
Yeah, but it's a few hours from Berlin in a car share. You'd be here.
I would love to be. I love to be. Okay. Yes, I've done this work, but it was really hard. Okay, I say.
Yeah. But you're getting the benefit now because you wake up in the morning and you're getting a taste of how it could be,
Oh, I had a lot of glimpses in my life, not only in the morning, and that really touched me a lot. But there's a little thing I needed from now, and that was very helpful in one of the movies. I saw the second movie from you and your interviews with the masters. I don't remember who was it who said it. It was beautiful. He said, the two sides of the mind, because we need the mind. We need the mind who's functional, the mind who's working for that I have to eat and that I have to buy something, or I have to choose what kind of clothes I'm wearing today.
Right.
That's important, because many messages always saying you have to go out of mind, and that's not possible.
No. So, I mean, he was telling you, I think, that you need a practical mind, a functioning mind.
Yes,
and you don't need a thinking mind. The thinking mind is the part which gets us into trouble.
Yes.
And the functioning practical mind is, of course, absolutely necessary.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that is not totally clear if you listen to Indian masters, because they talk about destroying the mind. You've got to destroy your mind. Yeah. And then, of course, you would be some kind of vegetable, without a mind. We need our mind, but we don't need this thinking mind that is, remembering something that happened last week, or last year's holiday was terrible and blah, blah, blah. So it's the thinking mind that we don't need and we can destroy or should destroy. But of course, the functioning mind is essential.
Yes, that was very helpful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was oh, thank God. I can stay. For now, I can stay in peace.
Right. Well, actually, that film, I think you're talking about Blueprints for Awakening, where I interviewed 16 masters.
Yes.
I mean, the idea of that was also one of these kind of, how can I say, came from outside. Suddenly one morning I got this message, yeah? And then I didn't do anything for 10 years or something like that. And then one of the reasons I started was this question that you're mentioning, because I was living in retreat in India, and around me people were saying things like, you've got to destroy the mind. You've got to destroy the mind. And then I couldn't really make sense of that. And I thought, oh, well, I'll make that one of my questions. So if you remember in the film, one of the questions was something about destroying the mind. And of course, when you actually talk to the masters, they then explain they don't mean to destroy your mind, they mean to destroy your thinking mind. But they don't usually say that in India. They say destroy the mind, and then you get the wrong idea. Then you spend your whole life trying to destroy your mind, and
it's
you
not
can't.
working.
Good.
So
okay, well, nice to meet you. Come and visit us sometime. Yeah.
Just come.
Just come, yeah.
Just come.
We can manage you anytime. Yeah.
How do I do this?
Well, I would suggest a car share from Berlin. It will take you 3 or 4 hours, and then you can come here. And if you want to stay for a week, you can stay for free for 1 week.
Oh.
And then you help a bit with simple things.
Oh, I can do a lot of things.
If you like the first week, you can stay for a second week, and then we would ask you just to pay for your food.
Thanks for thanks a lot for the invitation. Really, from my heart, thanks a lot.
Okay, good. Well, it's nice that you've seen the films and it's something that's touched. So come and say hello, and we can talk more. Yeah.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we're going to finish now, but I've got a few things to say. If anybody is interested to get a copy of this film that Suzanne was talking about, this weekend is the end of our 50% sale. So you can get a copy of that. You can download a copy of that film for €4, €4.50, half price. And any other stuff that you like there. What else? In 3 weeks' time, we have a Vipassana weekend. So we call it Vipassana Island. There's usually about 15 people sitting in a room. You get a mat, you get a chair, you get a cushion, and you sit from Friday night until Sunday night, you sit on your island. And we bring you food and look after you. You have, I don't know how many hours that is, about 40 hours to sit with yourself with a blindfold. This is actually wonderful, even though it maybe sounds terrible. Many people get a breakthrough into this essence. So this is a very, very juicy weekend. Very juicy weekend. And if any of you have children, I can see Luigi's got his child sitting on his knee now. We've been talking in our community. Maybe you know that from our newsletters, you know that we're shifting to Spain. We've got a very beautiful house in Spain where we're going to develop an international community. And we've been talking about having a school, actually not a real school, our kind of school. So last weekend, we had an experimental weekend with 5 children. We have a teacher who is from Norway, and we're going to, in fact, build in the garden of our property a schoolhouse, and we're going to have a non-school school there based on love and creativity. So if any of you have got friends or you yourself have got some children, this might be an opportunity for you to raise them in a completely different way from the way most people get raised up. And in the newsletter we'll be sending out this week, there are photographs and also a little film of that experimental weekend. So we did this weekend to see if it could work, and it can work, and we're going to do it. So I'm very touched from that. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Nice meeting. Very nice. Yeah.